Hi everyone, thanks for joining me for our special chat, our film and locations chat. So, just to say, if you're joining in, just remember it's only about film and locations tonight. So, if you want to ask me any questions about film and locations and such like, you can pop your questions up. So, just keep the questions basically about film and locations tonight. I'll post up a little message in the chat box for anyone new joining, so I don't have to repeat it every so often. So I hope you all enjoyed the videos that I posted up, the ones that I've done down in Bournemouth and then Wembley and Stonebridge and such like. Got the aim, obviously, when you take the aim, when I'm going down photographing all of that, I take these with me as well, which helps out. It's like my screen grabs from the actual film, so that I can get the correct angles to photograph and everything like from. So that's the sort of things that I take down with me. As you can see there, that's all the screen grabs from the locations that I want to actually photograph, if you see what I mean. You definitely need something like that. There was a time when I tried going along and I had a little pocket sized, little portable DVD player, which was handy as well. But problem with that is obviously it's more breakable, if you see what I mean. Yeah, Neil, just keep it to filming locations. If there's any filming locations you want to know where they are, then I'm happy to answer them. Obviously, that's what it's predominantly about tonight is the filming locations. So anything like that, anything to do with the filming locations, then I'm happy to answer. I'll leave all the other on the buses questions like about the cast and the crew for another night. Um, So the in terms of like as I say, I did used to take a little portable DVD player around with me. I've still got it, but the problem with that is if you drop it and break it, you're basically screwed if you're trying to do filming locations. At least with them, they're robust. They're not going to break or anything like that. The only danger you've got, I suppose, is losing them. But that's why I stick with the screen grabs. Plus, the screen grabs are bigger, the A4 size, whereas a little portable DVD player, the screen's maybe only about half of the size. And you've got the sun glare and all that on the screen, which makes it difficult as well when you're doing the trying to spot the locations. Um, Yeah, you've been to Old Reading before, but I'll probably want to go back there again. There's one or two other locations that I haven't got yet at Old Reading from different angles. I've visited it before in person. I might have a video up here as well, actually. If I haven't got a video on here on the YouTube channel, I've definitely got a video on my Facebook channel, the on the buses filming locations now and then group. I've definitely got a video on there. I know I've done a video at the location before. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm pretty sure that there's one on my Facebook group on Facebook, Neil. Um, but I will need to go there again because there's one or two other locations that I've got to get up there. Different angles, like one when you see the cameras looking across out to where you see a little broken down small picket fence, and then the fields beyond that. I haven't actually got one of that location, so I'll be doing that. Going up there to take that, and might also see if I can get slightly better, more accurate photographs as well while I'm there. So certainly be visiting it at some point in the future. It's getting the time to do those sorts of things. I mean, there's ones that I've got here as well that I'm planning to visit. These are all ready, sort of like ones and ready to go, if you see what I mean. If you look how many there is. that I've got here. There's your ones in Notting Hill. I don't know if you can see them. They're all from the episode Vacancy for Inspector. There's about a dozen there that I've got to go and visit. They were all like around Penstale Road, Penzance Place, that sort of area. There's quite a few up at Wood Green still to do new different locations up there that I've got to go back and visit. There's about another 18, so I'll definitely go to Wood Green sometime in the future as well. Several from Wood Green, one or two from Crouch End that they filmed up at. So that's like Crouch End, so that's sort of like North Wembley again. If I stayed at Wood Green, I could cover that one. Here's a couple as well that we spoke about when I met you last, Neil, as the Uxbridge ones at Northway. So if you have a look here, I'll show you them there. Like there's this angle here. It'll be difficult to get this angle because as you can see from the screen grab, it's quite a height up, looking along right down at the bridge, face on. So that'll be quite a difficult, tricky one to get. I might, I'll be able to get the photograph, but not from that height, if you see what I mean. It's right in the middle of a road, if you get what I'm saying. There's this one here as well. That's again, that's on Northway and Uxbridge. This is when you see them filming on the top deck of the bus, and you see the houses at the side again. It'd be very difficult to do that one because it's at the height, but I will try and get it from the angle there. And that's another one as well, which is just a little bit further along Northway, but further back down Northway with the houses at the side of the road. So ones like them I could do, but whether they would be accurate, very accurate, it's hard to manage that. What with the height that the shot was actually, the camera was at filming that. Other ones that I'll be hoping to visit as well. Obviously, it's back to the good old cemetery gates again. Again, that's up at Wood Green. So cemetery gates ones are like different angles of that. I don't know if I've got these ones actually, but there's that. Ones like that at Wood Green. They're all just variations, but different angles of Wood Green. The cemetery, the gates location, if you see what I mean. Another one there like that. So if you've got any questions while I'm showing you all of these, just give it a thought and I'll post them up. I'll answer them when I see them on the screen. There's another one from Bon Voyage. Different angle of the gates there that we see. Again, with Stan and Jack coming out of the gates there, at the cemetery gates. And these ones here are then Enfield, further south in Enfield. These ones are from actually Bush Hill Gardens, Village Road. This is the ones from the new conductor. That was a clothes shop. I'm not sure what it is now. I think it's something like a hairdresser's, I think it is now. But as that one, I know what it is, obviously, it's no problem finding it. But another one as well as the toilets. So you've got the toilet blocks there from with the houses running down the back in the background. No, that's it. It stays the same. This is like from Bush Hill Gardens again. The bus parked on the street. So as you can see, I mean, I know where all these locations are, but it's just these different variations of the location. I've already got these locations photographed, but there's lots of different angles that you see the location from, if you see what I mean. Yeah, cemeteries don't really change at all, which is really good. Launderettes I find as well don't really change. Let's see the other ones I've got elsewhere. Well, there's your old favourite there. There's the Old Reading one there. So there's angles that I want to get from Old Reading that I haven't really got before. Now, this is the one that was mentioned to you before as well, Neil. I mentioned it when I met you down there. I'll just show you that just now. Right, so there's that one with a picket fence looking out into the field, if you see what I mean. Old Reading and Harrow. So there's that, and now this is the one that I was telling you about that I've got to look to go and confirm that it's actually there. This is in Harrow on the hill when they were pushing the motorbike uphill, and they used combination. So those parts that you see right there are the giveaway. Those are still there. They're sort of like pillars into the big gate into a sort of like a big sort of like expensive house. That's on Roxburgh Park in Harrow on the Hill. So I've got to go to there and photograph it to confirm it. There's another one from the. Now the picket fence is still there, Neil. I've been back the last time I was there. It was still there, but just in a little bit of a solid state. It was lying at an angle, but it was still there. The giveaway to this one being that location is, as I say, where I think it is on Roxburgh Park, as these pillars with a lamppost right next to it, which is still there to this day, and this sort of wall with a jagged look to it like that. That is still there as well. So I'm pretty sure that that is where it is. But I've got to go there to photograph it and confirm it, if you see what I mean. So that's Harrow on the Hill. So there's another one in that sort of like North London area that's that I've got to get to. It's getting the time, obviously, because I work full time. Another one I've got to get down to is Lavender Hill. Somebody was asking me about it the other week there. So like, this is a bit when Jack's, I think, going to jump back on the bus after he's got his he's pinched his flowers, his plants and all that from outside the it was the old Battersea Town Hall, but it's now I think it's an art centre now. And obviously there's a lot from Lambeth as well in South London. So ones like these from the poster. I've got these ones from the poster already where the location is, but these are like different angles. So you've got different angles there. A whole load of different ones. There's about won't go through them all. There's 9 of them there from. Hold on just now. I'll show you them. I may as well while I'm here, while people are thinking of questions. So there's ones like this angle here of Roxburgh Park, where you can see the very side of the last house on Renfrew Road when the bus crashes into the fence in the poster. This bit here, this building's all still here as well, so that should make for a good now and then. You see that when the bus is passing along Gilbert Road. Again, the poster. This one has the bus here as it's coming up Lambeth, Gilbert Road, sorry. All of these houses here have been destroyed and knocked down. The new ones been redeveloped, but you do still see those that are still there in the background. So at least there's something there to for you to go on, for me to go on. Same with this one here. Houses on that side have all gone. They're still here as well. So again, something to go on from Gilbert Road. Again, this side angle here, they've all gone. The poster bit, it's I mean the wall here is still here, I do believe. So that's all things to go on. Now this is Kennington Road in Lambeth, nearby. It's in the Perfect Clippy. So that's one to get just as the bus is passing Reedworth Street. Again, here from here, can work that out from the style of the windows and all of that, and from one that's 189 Kennington Road that I've got to get to photograph. as well. That's another one there. And this one's further back up Kennington Road on 125 as he's hanging out the window to speak to Stan on the bus, hanging out the door, sorry. You can see by a little drop-down part roof there. There's only one of them on Kennington Road, so that's how you know it's 125 Kennington Road. So that's a few there for in Lambeth, and I think it's also known as the Prince's area, but the bigger area that comes under like the borough is I think it's known as Lambeth. And obviously there's ones here like from Carden Road. Quite a few there from Carden Road and Peckham. There's one or two other ones from Peckham as well. This one I've got to get back to as well. I've got the shop looking across at the divorce courts, which was in Natchbull Road in Camberwell as well. Got to go back to that one so I can go right up to the front door looking out onto the street, which is a view that you get as Oliver's helped into the court. And I think there's another couple from there as well. Yeah, right. What he's in, right? Let's see. I wouldn't think that they'll change it at all, Martin Neil up there. They might build a house or something where the pub used to be, but the countryside out there, I think, will remain as is, really. That's all like greenbelt land. I think the pub, although it's closed and probably going to be demolished for our I think it might just be maybe a couple of houses that they'll build on that site, but the tree area and all of that where they actually filmed on the buses, I don't think that'll be in danger. That's like greenbelt land there. I don't think they'll be building on that anytime soon. Yeah, that's right. Those ones are from the ones that it's impossible to find are the ones that's I think it's nowhere to go. When they put the family into the motorbike and sidecar, and you see it heading down a country lane. I've hunted everywhere for that location. I've hunted on Google Street View and Google Maps, both the sort of same, and areas north of London, areas northwest of London, areas northeast of London, areas west of London, areas east of London, but no joy at the moment. It's really like a needle in a haystack because it could be an area that's now being developed on sort of like around the Barnet or Enfield area where a lot of new houses are getting built, if you see what I mean. So it could easily be something that is totally unrecognizable because there's all houses in that area now. So it's really impossible to tell. There's not a lot to go on with that, as in if there's any other ones like that. There was a few from the episode on the omnibuses, which was filmed down in near Haywards Heath. Yeah, cheers, James. You got any questions? It's just about filming locations tonight. If you want to ask me anything about the filming locations. Yeah, I've mentioned that before, Rob. If you have a look back on old videos, there's plenty of buses around. It's only about the filming locations I want to talk about tonight. There's 4 of the buses around anyway that were made on the buses, that were used in filming on the buses. The episode Haywards Heath, the one from on the omnibuses, there was quite a few there that were still to be found. There's still 2 or 3, I think, from that episode still to be found, where you see the manager's car going along a country lane. I'm pretty confident that I know where it is, but someone that one of my colleagues that I organise the online buses events with, he's not so sure that it's there. But I'm pretty confident it is there, but I'll need to revisit it to have a look at that one again. So there's a couple in that episode that haven't been pinpointed yet. But they would have definitely been all filmed around that Haywards Heath, just out in the countryside, just east of Haywards Heath, like around the Sloop Lane area, I think it is, in East Sussex. Which one did I say I spoke to? The episode from Nowhere to Go, Neil. The last person that was involved in, obviously, that was still with us was Anna, and she couldn't remember where it was, and that was like, we're talking 50 years ago, basically, when that was filmed, near enough. So it's not surprising that she couldn't remember. She couldn't remember the odd random location where she filmed one day in maybe March 1971 or something like that. You know what I mean? Yeah, because she did do a heck of a lot of filming locations, filming on location all over the place, really. So, but yeah, James. Now they always filmed in the studio set, like the pub. Nah, that was just in our studio set that they filmed that. They never filmed it in any pubs or restaurants. Because to do that sort of thing, you need to pay money. What's the point in doing that when you can get recreate the thing? And when you're filming on a studio set, it's all in a controlled environment. They've got the total silence. Whereas if you're trying to film a scene in a restaurant, a real restaurant in a pub, which you wouldn't have done anyway, but imagine that they were trying to do it. It's sort of like you've got the chance that you might lose a bit of filming because there's a rowdy lot in the pub making noise when you need silence to film the scenes. So that's another reason as well. Plus, is the money side of it. They don't actually go and film in places like that because it's too expensive. For stuff like on the buses, that was the case anyway. You might get more sort of like, obviously, you get more lucrative productions. So we say they spend more money that they will actually go to real places, real hotels, real pubs, and things like that to get their scenes. Yeah, but then again, where would all that stuff be? Because obviously back in the day, that was your LWT productions. So they all fall under like the ITV umbrella now, I suppose. So it'd be all be and ITV are very cagey about. I know that from dealing with them from past. They're very cagey about giving out any sort of information, even like 40, 50 years later, if you see what I mean. So it's very difficult to get hold of information like that. To me, anyway, I mean, I might be a bit of a, you might call me a bit of a sadist, like, but to me, part of the fun is using your own intuition and things like that to find these sorts of locations anyway. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have had half as much fun tracking down these locations if somebody had given me the production notes of all the seven series and all the three spin-off films, if you know what I mean. It would have sort of like it would be far less meaningless of me tracking down these locations, if you see what I mean. It might make me seem like a sadist, like putting myself through all this torture and looking around on Google Maps and Google Street View and all of that. But you certainly get a lot more satisfaction finding them this way than just them being handed to you on a plate. If you see what I mean. Oh yeah, I would say so, Neil. I'd definitely say there's a good chance it is. Where they are, though, I wouldn't know. It'd probably be in the terms of somewhere like ITV's vaults and all of that now, or something like that, or such like that. I would say there's a good chance that they still exist somewhere, though. Most definitely. obviously some of the times you go on tidbits of information that you pick up, but it's not sort of like full blown bona fide factual information that you're given, like as it would be if you were to get the production notes and it gave you the exact spot that they filmed at. Some of the times I've lived off of tidbits of information like hearsay or something like that, and then that gives you somewhere to start looking. Most of the times the locations are tracked down by just by a case of location. Basically, once you get to know some locations and the areas that they filmed in, it's then sort of like becomes sort of like that they to look in that area again because it's an area that they did film in, if you see what I mean. Like obviously your first 6 series at that time, London Weekend, were at Wembley Studios. So they were there for 6 series. And there's a little trick that you can do to find the locations as well. If you see them filming, if you see the bus coming in and out of the depot up at Wood Green, then there's a good chance that other locations in that episode were filmed at Wood Green as well, because they weren't just going to go all the way up to Wood Green to film the bus coming in and out of the depot. There's a very good chance that the other scenes would be in Wood Green as well if they filmed on location in that episode. If you didn't see the bus coming in and out of the episode, out of the depot, then there's a very good chance that they filmed elsewhere in North London, such as Wembley or Harrow or Hemden or Stonebridge or such like. And then obviously Series 7, once Series 7 came along, they went down to South Bank, and the locations were all South London based after that. It's like finding where that person is to ask, if you see what I mean. The only contact places you've got on ITV on their website are just to our bog standard sort of like person who answers emails. So a lot of the time when you, by my experience, if you message them, they haven't got a clue who they should be passing that information on to give you the best possible help, if you see what I mean. And you've got to remember that if you're contacting somebody at ITV, they're probably maybe 30 years old or something like that, and wouldn't really have a clue what you're talking about if you mention on the buses. So we didn't really know where to go and where to send you to for information such as that, if you see what I mean. And then, of course, when we're talking about the Series 7, of course, you had the 3 films, of course, were all filmed up at Elstree Studios in Bournemouth. So they used locations in around the Bournemouth area. Bournemouth, the small town of Shenley, just northeast of Bournemouth, and South Mims, another small town just northeast of Bournemouth. Ridge, another small town northeast of Bournemouth. St Albans, town that's just sort of like northwest of Bournemouth, maybe right 2-3 miles northwest of Bournemouth. So they all stayed within that location, apart from obviously the 2 times they sped out and went further afield was for the shots at the safari park and the shots up at in North Wales for holiday on the buses. Yeah, it's something that I can try looking into in the coming weeks and such like. Whereabouts it would be, I'm not too sure. They might be moving as well, or they might have already moved their stuff as well. That's another thing to bear in mind, because obviously the South Bank studios are no more now. That's where they were. Well, they then became the London studios. They're, I'm not sure if they're already in the midst of being demolished, or whether that's already been completed. I know it's been earmarked for demolition and all of that, which is a real shame. Quick Google, Neil. It tells me that the archives are stored in Leeds. That's what a quick Google thingy just now has just told me, Neil. So that's where it is. I don't know whereabouts in Leeds, but it's something I can always look into at a future date. It says older programs post the 19 sort of early 1990s, like any productions of theirs before that are in Leeds. Oh, there's lots of places like that. There's I know the man that helped save the LC studios, Paul Welsh. When they closed down the British MGM studios in Bournemouth, which was on Elstree Way. There's videos of that, because I've done where when you see Stan, that's what Stan's knocking down at the end of Holiday on the Buses. That's one of the sound stages there. Obviously, he didn't have a van or anything like that, but when they were about to start knocking, just before they started knocking it all down, he went into the studios and he asked them if you could have a look around, if you could take anything, and they said, take what you want, it's all going to get binned anyway. So there was scripts of the film Cleopatra lying around, costumes, bits of costumes and all of that, just scattered all over the place. Scripts from all sorts of films, but he could only carry so much. Yeah, he said he says to this day, he wished he had a van, because the amount of really great stuff that was just lying around waiting to be flung out, if you see what I mean. And I think, I'm not sure, that Elstree had stuff like that as well. That was, I think they had an old archive on the site where Tesco stands now. I'm sure they had an archive there, but when that got knocked down, they dug up the archive store and all of that, and the stuff just got binned as well, because there was nowhere else to store it, and they just crashed the whole lot, and there was a whole heck of a lot of records and such like there as well. I'm not too sure who. It might have been like the old, because they were based there for the time. It might have been old Pathé News clips and all of that, because they used to have the stuff stored at Elstree Studios. And it's funny how all the depots, the actual, well, that was used as depots and on the buses have all gone now as well. Obviously, they predominantly used the Lordship Lane depot in Wood Green. the Eastern National Depot that was demolished in 1981, I think it was. They also used the Banfield Coaches Depot down in Peckham, that was on Banfield Road. It came the depot that's been knocked down as a housing estate there now. Although there is a plaque on the wall saying that the bus depot used to stand on the site. And of course, the depot that wasn't really a bus depot, obviously, for the spin-off films was Soundstage 5 at Elstree Studios, which of course that portion of the studios got demolished to make way for the Tesco's that's there now. I'm pretty well nigh certain that it was they had stuff stored up at Elstree Studios as well, British Pathé. I think it might have been when Canon Forney EMI, I think it get bought out by Canon Studios, and then from there that's when it got sold on to the property developer Brent Walker, and then obviously the just see if I can find where that information is. I know it's somewhere in the back of my head about using the they used to have British Pathé news archive there. Can't find any. It's around somewhere. It's maybe not. I'm just not looking in the right place for it. I know there was some sort of archives and all of that there that got it was stored below ground level, and it got totally. They had to destroy it all because it was after it was on a portion of the studios. It got demolished. There's been a few. Obviously, it's the ones that I find that obviously are the hardest to find, that take the longest time to find. Obviously, the ones that I'm photographing now are maybe not so difficult because I knew where they were. It was just a case of getting the time to go down to find them. But ones such as the ones in the Perfect Clippy was a difficult one to find, for the simple reason it was that is in a location where, for me, a massive help to finding locations, because obviously I'm based in Edinburgh. London's 300 miles away from me, but I did live in London for a couple of years, so I did manage to get a heck of a lot photographed down there around about maybe from around about 2014 to 2016. I lived down in London, so it was handy being there then. But I still, even then, obviously, I was using, when I was at home, I was using the Google Street View and things like that. Now, where the in the scene where Olive's quoting the rule book, and they park up at what you think is like the terminus, and Stan and Jack get out to go and have a cup of tea, and then Olive's quoting them and nagging them and all of that. That is now a pedestrianised street, so there's no way of actually checking out what it looks like on Google Street View. because they obviously there's no through road there, so there's no way of seeing what it actually looks like. So maybe looked around that area before, but because I couldn't get down that street using Google Street View, you tend to you can't really sort of like look at it as a possibility. But it was the curved building that was sort of like over at the other round to sort of like you see it in the background. And there is a curved building sort of like on an adjacent street that you can look at that is covered by Street View. So it was one that I kept going back to because I thought it looked good. Then I think I went to something like I got the name of the actual square part that they get out and they go up a little flight of stairs. It's actually a sort of like a whole load of flats. It's called something, I don't know what the name of the flats is, but I actually looked it up on an estate agent's, and obviously there you get to see actual photographs of the area of what it looks like from the outside. So then you do get to see sort of like what it looks like, and it did tally with it did tally quite well with the episode. So then I thought I better go down and visit it myself, see if it does hold up, and it did, and that's how I managed to find it. And other ones sometimes you find by chance, like the corridor and holiday on the buses. I looked for that for ages and ages and ages. Walked around all parts of the holiday camp and Prestatyn, but it wasn't there. Well, I couldn't find it anyway. I mean, there was workers who suggested, oh, maybe it used to be there and they closed it off and it's not there anymore. But it wasn't until I was at our studio party down in Elstree Studios. Paul Welsh was the man who helped save the Elstree Studios with his Save Our Studios campaign, was having his a birthday party, and I got an invite to that. So while I was there, one of the staff that works at, well, he used to work at Elstree Studios, he took me down a corridor and said, "Do you recognise this?" And there it was. It was a corridor from Holiday on the Buses. So that was another one found. So that was sort of like just fell into my lap. That was another really good one to find as well, because I've looked so hard to try and find that and couldn't track it down. Well, there's a lot of good sites out there for things like that. I mean, another good one is Real Street. That's another one if you're looking for basic like filming locations of various things. It does help me a bit when people, like, I can't remember, it might have been on my Facebook group or something like that. Someone popped on it and said, "Oh, you want to go and have a look on Real Street?" And like I got a bit huffy and said, "Yeah, but Real Street's got nothing on me when it comes to on the buses. So I guarantee I've got the biggest database of on the buses filming locations in the world. But don't get me wrong, it's excellent for across the board filming locations, no doubt about it. So another one to check out is called Real Street. As Neil, but I have to say, don't it doesn't hold up to me when it comes to on the buses locations. I'll guarantee you that much. Yeah, there's many ones that are still challenging. Obviously, there's ones that may very well pinpoint and find sometime in the future, which again will be another one that have been a great challenge to try and find. But there aren't really all that many left to find. There might be around about maybe 20 to 30 or something like that. And there's ones that obviously you're not going to be able to get for simple reasons, such as up the many shots from the safari park, because it's changed beyond recognition. There are a few that I can get from there that you could still get and tally up, because you've got St Leonard's House in the background, the big white stately home that's still there, it still stands in the grounds of Legoland, but you do see it in the background of shots and Mutiny on the Buses. So those ones I could go down there and get, but obviously it's going to cost money to get into Legoland. I think I don't know how much it is. I think it's something like £30 or something to film in there. Yeah, not to film, just to visit there or something like that. Yeah, it is, James, but the problem is I've hunted for them for so long, and it's like the ones that are, as I said, that episode Nowhere to Go. I think in that one alone, there's maybe about 6 or 7. That takes up about 6 or 7 of those 20 or 30 locations is just in that one episode, Nowhere to Go. The other ones is like, I think there's a couple maybe in the Perfect Clippy when you see Stan's bus going along and there's something that looks like a school in the background. That area has probably been heavily redeveloped since they filmed that. As I say, there's 1 or 2 from the episode on the omnibuses. There's one that I am pretty certain I know where it is. It's in Alty Greg. When you see the bus, when the bus is going along a country lane, and you see the house in the background. There's a old brick wall, sort of like the bus is going past. I'm pretty sure where that is, but again, my colleague thinks it's somewhere totally different. So we're at cross purposes on that one there. So that's probably we're talking about 10 locations there. But there are other ones as well. I think there's 1 or 2 from Series 7 episodes. So there is somewhere like around about 20 to 30 that, and as I say, there's a few from Mutiny on the Buses that just will not be. They'll be impossible to recreate, because it's where do you start when the road layout's all changed totally in Legoland and you've not got anything to go on at all there. The only ones from within the Mutiny on the Buses site that you'll be able to get are the ones with St Leonard's House in the background. I'm just trying to think of any other ones that I haven't got. Obviously, there's the ones that myself and Neil there, but I think they are. It's on Hossenden Lane North, when you see the bus coming along the country lane, and then it pulls up and stops, and Jack sends a boy off to get the phone for an ambulance. We think that's on Hossenden Lane North. Again, that's still got to be confirmed yet. So I suppose that's a couple from within the yet to be found locations. But from the films are near enough. The other ones, there's a couple, 1 or 2 from the films that haven't been done. I don't think they will be found now either. It's the storeroom. You know, when they go and get the paint and the toilet, because that would have been filmed. It certainly wasn't at the holiday camp. That would have been filmed back on the back lot at Elstree Studios. And my guess is it would have been on this section that's no longer there. Could be wrong, but that's where I would say more than likely is where it would have been. So that's maybe another 1 or 2 that you might never get. Yeah, I hope to, Neil. Yeah, definitely. I know there's still more to make up that 20 or 30. I just can't think what they are off the top of my head. And of course, I've got to get back to Denham again for the Burn bus. I know where it is and all of that. That's not a problem now. It's just getting up there to actually photograph it. It's just about the film locations we're talking tonight, Gerald. I'll answer that one if you keep it in your memory bank. I'll answer it the next time I'm on doing the Q&A on the buses in general. This is just a night to talk about filming locations and any questions you might have about that and such like. Yeah. Well, I suppose I have sort of like recovered, but it was the reason why it hit me so bad. It was because I was planning to get a bus out to that location out in the countryside, but they're doing building work on that particular road. And then someone told me that the buses don't stop there. So the only way that I could get out to those locations to photograph them was by walking. So it was like about 2 mile walk, and they through the countryside, through country lanes and all of that, out in the sun. So that's I think what hit me really bad. And I was carrying like a backpack with my camera, this folder with screen grabs in it and such like. So I suppose that's why it hit me real bad. But of course, there is an offshoot from your from getting dehydrated apparently, and it's hemorrhoids, and I got them as well. So I'm still just recovering from that just now. But yeah, the graffiti you talk about is like, as I said, I'm not sure which episode it was from. It was an episode of Rambling Hotcut Deceased. You see a side wall of what's the road? I think it's Cardinal Avenue. Cardinal Avenue, and you see the CND sign on painted on the wall. It's still there now. It's faded a heck of a lot now over the years, but you still actually see it. So it's been on that wall for like the best part of 50, well, over 50 years now, which is quite incredible, really. Yeah, problem with drones is they cost a heck of a lot of money, and on top of that, they don't give you if you're looking for one that takes real quality that you could use for photographs and any future books or anything like that, you'll be paying even more money for it then, if you know what I mean. Plus, you've got to pay for a license for having a drone as well. Drones are all very well and things like that, but only if you've got a heck of a lot of money to throw around. Yeah, as I say, it was the first day that I was down there that it really hit me bad. Obviously, I think I've just done the video for Up in Ridge, the farmhouse that the bus goes into the farmyard, and Stan ends up in the manure, and also the I've done the garage scene where the bus stops and she runs into a toilet. And then I walked down to the Wash Lane location, which is where you see the motorbike coming along when they're taking Olive to the hospital, and it goes over the humpback bridge. That's runs just behind the service station at South Mims Services. And I was out filming that. And then just when I was on my way back into the service station, um, that's when it really hit me. I went into the service station first, had a bite to eat and all that. Then I went out onto Wash Lane and done a video for for the Facebook group. I was going to do a video for this, but I was feeling so bad at that time. I knocked out in the head and walked back to the service station. And when I got into the service station, I was really bad then. I went and bought myself a litre bottle of water, sat down. My head was spinning. When I got up, I was unsteady on my feet. Finished off the bottle of water and near enough finished it off. And I had to tell one of the staff members who were clearing the tables in the eating area if she could phone for a taxi for me. Taxi took me back to my hotel, and I went right to bed, slept for about 3 hours, and then when I woke up in the evening time, I felt a lot better. It would have been a helicopter, but then again, it would have been. I think that was that sort of thing they had. I think LWT had one of them anyway for outside broadcast purposes, news purposes, and all of that. Yeah, it's just if you look at the Gerald, you look at the you can see the studio in the background was the one when I noticed when I was watching it at one time the film. I mean, they did film quite a bit there in terms of the films, other comedy films. There's also like the films, I think I mentioned it in the video as well. They filmed the Likely Lads scenes from the Likely Lads there. When you see he's driving his van with the cleaning products in it around the roundabout, and you can see the studios in the background again. I think there's one, it's nowhere that they filmed on the buses, but it's in Boreham Woods when he's parked up in a housing estate. And I think that's when Bob gets in the back of the van and he's speaking to Thelma. Terry's left the microphone on so everyone outside can hear them arguing. That's in Boreham Wood as well. Whereabouts it is, I can't actually remember just now. Most of it is filmed up in the up in the northeast, up in around Newcastle, Durham area, and such like. But there are scenes that were shot in Boreham Wood. Hi, Dave. You got any questions about filming locations? Ask away. It's all about the filming locations tonight. And of course, they also filmed the externals of the house of George and Mildred up in Boreham Wood as well. Again, that's in that's along the far end of White House Avenue. It's quite funny, really, because where that is, once you come out of White House Avenue, you turn down Cardinal Avenue, sorry, and then your next turn on your left on Cardinal Avenue is actually called Mildred Way, and it's just that street runs along the back of what would have been George and Mildred's house in the George and Mildred film. So just keep your questions coming in about filming locations and I'll answer them for you. I do have to get some more screen grabs photographed as well and printed off. Because I know there are one or two more we've still got to go to and visit. Ah, here's some more. It's up in Denham, Dave. They were the ones that I was talking about from Newton on the buses earlier on. Now you're there, you can see St Leonard's House in the background there, and you can still see that to this day. So obviously, all you would do is look to get an angle of where you can see St Leonard's House there, and then that's it. That's your now and then. And the other location that you see it is there again. So they're the only real ones that you could get from Newton on the buses from inside the Legoland. The program I use is just VLC, so it's just like a video player. It's the one that's like a traffic cone with orange and white stripes through it. Then there was the one that I was talking about from. This is the one where I do believe I know where that is. That's from, as I was saying, that episode on the omnibuses. And there you can see the clue there is that farm that you see just there, which there is a farm there to this day. That one I know where that is, but I've got to get up there to photograph it. Now that's an unknown one, you see. That's one that is unknown. The clue you've got there is that little cottage there. You've got a little cottage there, so that's a mystery one to track down. This is that one similar from the other one in the dark, so I know where that is as well. It's on Sloop Lane, further north. Same with this here, that's the same location on Sloop Lane, just that been filmed during the daytime. They've just come under the bridge and they've left Blakey hanging from the bridge. And there he is there hanging from the bridge. Again, this one's going to be hard to get, obviously. It's using your drone again, Neil, isn't it? I know where this house is, so I can easily get that one as well, where she's holding up votes for women, Olive. There you go, Sloop Lane again. Know where that one is as well. Still virtually unchanged, that location is. So you see how many there is that I'm still going to get down to photograph that I know where they actually are. Like obviously at the moment, hold on just a minute. At the moment, I would say the location that I've got then and now's of is probably up around 500. Yeah, Welsh locations. I've done those ones in February. I've done Wales locations. That's the one that I said to you that I was saying earlier on that I said I'm certain I know where it is, but someone's argued and said they don't think it's there at all. And that's that one. That's my colleague who doesn't think it's where I think it is. You see what I mean? I say it's on Alti Greg and Desert, but he tends to disagree with me. Obviously, another title I do hope to get in sometime, another trip in the future, as well as to actually go into the holiday camp, because there are some locations I need to photograph in the holiday camp and I'll do live videos from the holiday camp as well at some point in the future. Obviously, I don't know when that'll be at the moment. Fan clubs of what? The holiday camp? Yeah, there's a holiday. There's a Prestaten Pontins Prestaten Sands Facebook group. I know that much. If you mean of on the buses, yeah, there is, but I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. Put it that way. I've voiced my concerns on this about the fan club before, but I won't go into it anymore because I keep getting shot down in flames for it. But there you go. We'll just leave it at that, Dave. So just keep your questions coming in about film locations. I'll answer them for you. I'd say that as well, when you're thinking about difficulties, the real difficult locations to get to are the ones that from Sloop Lane, that's near Haywards Heath. It really is a big journey because it's a case of, for me, up here in Edinburgh, it's a case of travelling all the way into London and then travelling across London to get a train from, I'm not sure if it's Waterloo. Which one, Dave? Is that from the episode or from the film? If you're talking about when Blakey gets splashed at the start of the film, yeah, that's in Boreham Wood. It's in First Road in Boreham Wood and north east of Boreham Wood. If you're talking about from the TV series, when they from the hot water episode, when they're trying to put the drain cover back onto the drain, and the policeman comes along and catches them, that's in Carden Road in Peckham. So keep your questions coming in about your film locations. I'll answer them as soon as I see them on the screen. And just to say to everybody as well, while you're all here, if you are members of Facebook and you're not on my Facebook group page, then I'll post your link to it. If you fancy joining, you can do. Probably it'll be around about autumn time, sometime around about August, September, that will start running through all the filming locations. It'll be the biggest run through that I've done because it'll probably contain somewhere around about 500 filming locations. No, not really, James. No. Adds an added interest to it, obviously, but not really. I mean, if you look at my favourite episode, it's Do It Yourself, and there's no filming locations in that whatsoever, so it doesn't really hold up, if you see what I mean. No, that's a different laundrette. That is Gerald. The one from the TV series that I done in the video that I posted up a few days ago is in Church Lane in Kingsbury. That's from the black and white TV episode. It was a Forco was the name of the laundrette. It was a Forco. That was its sort of like I would imagine it was a chain of laundrettes that they had maybe. And the one from the films was actually up on Manor Way in Bournemouth. So two totally different launderettes, but they are still launderettes to this day. So keep your questions coming in. I'll answer them for you as soon as I see them on the screen. Well, the thing is, you'll find that launderettes hang around are very prevalent and still much needed for properties that are really pretty small and not got room for things like washing machines in them. There are quite a few of them in various areas in various cities, if you see what I mean. So launderettes come in handy because people go down and rely on them to get the washing cleaned and all of that. So that's why there's still quite a few around. I would imagine it's the flats that are above the shops and Manor Way, which are pretty small and they don't have room for things like washing machines. And the laundrette that's on Church Lane, that's in a row of shops that have got flats above them as well. So that might be the same case where a lot of those flats are very small size, not enough room to and their kitchens for things like washing machines. So that's why again that laundrette remains very active. Yeah. So there's still much needed, a guaranteed, a steady flow of business, if you see what I mean. Yeah, it's like they might only have small kitchens, and obviously that is where your washing machine goes, is into your kitchen. They might only have room in a little kitchenette for a cooker and a fridge, and that is it. Nothing, no room for washing machines. More than likely, Neil. There's still quite a few laundrettes up here in Edinburgh as well. So again, they've got a lot of tenement blocks up here. So obviously, there's not enough room in places like that for your washing machines. Same with Glasgow's got a few. There's a few, definitely still a few around in the London area as well. I think when the 2 years I was down in London, there was one near me in Cricklewood as well. So they're still very popular. There's still quite a fair few around. I would say, definitely would say there's probably more things like launderettes around than there is maybe electrical shops, like shops that sell like electrical goods like TVs and music centres and stuff like that. Back in my day, there used to be a fair few of them around, but now they're just limited to like curry stores and the odd, what's the other one? Richer Sounds, is it? Whereas back in my day, you had Lascades, you had Rumbelows, you had Currys, you had Time used to sell computers, they say Rumbelows, all places like that. But now it's like you've got Currys that does electrical goods and maybe Richer Sounds, and that's about it. One thing that I've had to do just recently as well, and now I've started maybe doing it more. I mean, I've got all my locations here. They're all written down in like formatting here, just that I can like obviously to show you them. That's them all written down here. I'll just flick through the that's probably the better way to do it. So if you have a look there, that's all the filming locations. They're all listed, and but now that's sort of like become obsolete because there's 370 odd ones written down here, but every time I find a new one, that's all out of sync then, because a new one might end up having to go in there so that I've got the right order. So I'm going to start I'm going to start writing them, putting them all down onto a Word document on a computer. So then it's easier to change and slot in and just put a new location in rather than the written ones that I've got here. Just started doing that the weekend there. Because it normally ends up me having to watch the episodes again so that I know exact order that they appear. So when I come to do the episode run throughs on my Facebook channel, I've got the right order. No, I wouldn't say so, James. To me, as I've said with other people, some people do come up and ask, "Oh, why don't you do blah blah blah?" That sort of like Love Thy Neighbor. People have asked me to do Love Thy Neighbor filming locations, stuff like that. But to me, it's got to be something that I care passionately about to put my time into it, and I don't really care too much for Down the Gate or the Rag Trade. The Rag Trade, yeah, I like watching it and all of that, but and the Rag Trade doesn't really do filming locations. It's only done in the studio set and the factories anyway. Down the Gate, watched it maybe once or twice, but it's nothing that I would get excited about. That I would want to go and track down the filming locations for it. It's hard to really say. There's many times that you can look at a location and not be sure that it is it until you know what I mean, after 2 or 3 looks, and then you find some little small detail that confirms that that's the location, or another small detail that it isn't the location. So there are quite a few really that you can look at it and think, oh, that's like I did tell you, like one down in when I was down there, Neil, the one from um, is it Going Steady? No, it's not. It's the Inspector's Niece. When Stan nips into the florist. I always thought it was on like the Wembley Triangle area, because there's a row of shops that go on the bend, exactly like the ones in Horsenden Lane North, where it actually is. It's in Horsenden Lane North, that one. But for ages, I was always sure, always felt there was a good chance it was in the Wembley Triangle. But once I went down and visited it physically, then I could rule it out. Plus, you get another clue if you watch that scene further on. You see across the road, I think it's Robin Hood Way, which is up at Ossendon Lane North. Yeah, I would definitely say so, Gerald. I'd certainly say so there. Plus, I would say there was probably more filming going on out in the streets in those days. Might be wrong there. I would say that filming on streets was more popular back in the day, back then, than it is today. There seems to be more productions being made. Might just be me, or anything like that. Or have a look at that location then, Neil. It's not really on the buses related. Uh, Down the gate, is it? Just because Reg Varney was in it, then you could stretch it to everything that Reg Varney was in, if you see what I mean, like the Great Train Robbery, um, things like that. You see, so you have to draw a line somewhere. No, I used the 18 quite prevalently when I was down there. So, any questions about your filming locations? Just keep posting them up, and I'll answer them for you. Didn't show you these. I'll run through them now while if anybody's thinking up new questions. These are the Wood Green, Palmer's Green. So Palmer's Green's just slightly north of Wood Green. So right, that's from the L bus when they take the drivers out for training. I do believe that's on Norfolk Avenue because you can see that bush in the background is still there. It's in somebody's back garden. There you can see the bush again there, and then on Norfolk Avenue, just behind John. Again, I think that's Norfolk Avenue. That red brick wall's still there. You still got the pavement, and you still got the grassy there, John, between this is just off of Wolves Lane that they filmed the rest of the episode and on the location. This location is in Berwick Road in Wood Green. I've got the long range shot, but I've not got the close-up shot with the drain pipe dragging along the road that drops off the bus and the kids outing. So all of these I've got to visit. There, that's another one, another set of it where you can see the gate in the background, which is still present. Yeah, that was just a set. It wasn't a proper chemist or anything like that. That's Wolves Lane where they filmed it as well. That scene from the Airbus when they're inspecting the oil having dropped out of the engine. I've got this in our earlier location, but not quite that shot of Pellet Grove, which is in Wood Green. It's about 10 minutes away from the bus centre, bus depot was. And that's looking at the bus sitting outside Pellet Grove in Wood Green. These are all shots I'm going to have to go up to actually visit and photograph. That's the Lordship Lane, just outside the depot. Again, now this is the bus approaching the depot. Lordship Lane, that's changed a heck of a lot since then. All of these old buildings have all gone. There's newer buildings being built all there. That's Perth Road in Wood Green. So all of these I've got to get down to photograph them, and then I can add them into my episode run through. Same with here, you can see Stan's surprised faces. It's Perth Road again, with the park in the background still there, and those their houses are all unchanged. The trees have grown a bit though, so it might block out the view of the houses in the background. This is the bus entering the rear of the depot at Wood Green on coming off of Buller Road, coming onto Buller Road from Redbridge Road. Sorry. This is the bus about to go into the depot, at the rear of the depot, sorry. And this is the front of the depot when they run out, and they're running around to the picket line, stop the bus getting out the back of the depot. That's Rudolph Walker, you can see there. This is the camera crew turning up at the depot for filming, and I've got marked out what the numbers are across the road. That's where you can figure out exactly where to be standing to get the photo shot. Be difficult to get that though, because obviously they've got a lot of depth there before you get out onto Lordship Lane. Nowadays, you could only maybe stand about there because you've got omnibus house stands right here. So it's going to be difficult to get a like for like with that one for that reason. Same with here. This is like, I think this is Mum turning up at the depot. This one is from the opening credits. So that's on Alexander Park Road in Wood Green. Okay, so you got any more questions about the film locations? Just post them up and I'll answer them for you. Oh, I'm just having to think a way back. Probably be able to find it. It'll probably be on my old forum, like I used to run on the buses forum. We used to do checks on that for filming locations a way back. That would be like that started back in 2008, I think that was. So it probably been around about 2008 or something like that, maybe the first location. No, it must have been earlier than that, actually. It must have been 2006, maybe. What it was, I couldn't tell you for sure. Yeah, it was just a matter of like obviously until I got more organised and doing it, it would just be one out of interest. If you watched an episode, I wonder where that is, and you'd start looking for it. But when I started looking for them more and I would go like from the very start, the very first episode, and then go through and then write down the filming locations that there were, the amount of filming locations, and then take it from there. Basically, I mean, obviously, the more that you look for them, the more well versed you come and know where to look for them. And normally in episodes as well, where one is in an episode, if you filmed other locations in that episode, there's a very good chance it was in close proximity to the other location, if you see what I mean. But the sort of the thing that doesn't really tally up is with that episode with the nowhere to go. The nowhere to go location was they did film in Stonebridge, because you see the family getting onto the motorbike and sidecar after Stan and Jack have went to trouble of repairing it. And you see them leaving outside the house at 4 Selwyn Road, which is in Stonebridge. But there's nowhere really of any country lanes or anything around the Stonebridge area. Hi, Cheetah. If you've got any questions about the filming locations, just the filming locations, let's post them up. There's a filming locations chat. Yeah, cheers, James. Thanks for popping in. And thanks for asking your questions as well. So if anyone's got any questions about the filming locations, just post them up and I'll answer them for you, just the filming locations. Well, someone asked earlier on as well, if I go back into that one, I'm not sure if it was James that was gone now, but it was, they asked if there's ones that gave me more pleasure. About finding them, and obviously not just not finding them but photographing them as well, I suppose you could say. One recently was down in the Bournemouth Woods where I've been meaning to get down to it and photograph it, but I haven't been able to really get down to it for several reasons. That's the locations down by the motorway. When the bus gets diverted onto the motorway, obviously going onto a motorway is a very precarious thing. But I did actually manage to get that done when I was down there. I photographed that location. Obviously, I couldn't do a locations video from the embankments of a motorway. It'd been just too daft a thing to do, really. It was hard enough being quick enough to get the photographs before getting away before, you know what I mean, anyone challenged me, if you see what I'm saying. So that was good getting that one done. Of the hard shoulder where the bus pulls up, and also where you see the bus passing the motorway sign, the sign on the motorway saying Luton in the north. The other one as well, there was one in Wembley, and that was really good to manage to get in to get the photographs of that. It's actually from the episode Mum's Last Fling when Stan has to go in and pay a gas bill. That's a college block now. The college block is still there. And I actually managed to get in there when they were doing some renovation work around the reception area. That's where you see Stan running in to ask to pay the bill, and then the man shows him the direction of the lifts. So I actually got in there to photograph the actual lifts and the angle that Stan runs from as well. So that was really good because it was one of those sorts of locations you think you're never really going to be able to get to see. The filming of the videos, I just do it on my mobile, which is like a Samsung 21 Ultra. So it does really good videos for videos to go onto YouTube. For the photographs, I've got like a Canon DLSR. It's not a top-notch one or anything, but it takes good quality photos, and that's all that really matters. So it's like my Samsung 21 Ultra for videos and the a Canon ESO, I think it's 100D for the photos. So if you've got any more photo, any questions, sorry, just post them up and I'll answer them for you about the filming locations. Filming locations for the TV series of films. There's probably like maybe once they go back to Denham again, and for the ones that need doing, it'll probably total maybe around about maybe 15. Obviously, they'll be all under confined area. Some will just be same location, but just from a different angle. So you see a different angle of the location. Well, I've got a lot of them already, though, Neil. Probably at the moment, the ones that I've got left to take is probably about another from the sort of like from the field area, probably around about 5 maybe, or 6 at the most. Okay, I'll give it another few minutes. I'll call it a day at 7 o'clock, 7:30. I've been online for 2 hours then. So if you've got any more questions about your filming locations, let's get them in now before I go offline at 7 o'clock. done a good 2 hours here. Didn't think it we get so much questions, so that's good. That's really went quite well, I think. I'll give you a rundown while you're thinking of ones as well. For there, this is the ones from Notting Hill that I want to try and do. Notting Hill ones are all from Vacancy for Inspector. So there you go. That's on the corner of Princedale Road and Penzance Place. Again, the same spot with the camera basically looking in the other direction. That shop area there is still there, but I think it's not actually a shop now at all. So this is one of these locations that will be difficult to get because it's obviously been taken on the upper floor of a block of flats that's across the road. So whether they'll be able to get access to get the actual screen grab like that, but the building's still there and the same, this building here that features heavily in all of these shots. It's good that all these features are still there as well because you can pinpoint exactly like by the windows, the doorways, the pillar sort of structures there. All helps you pinpoint exactly whereabouts they were. And same with that there. There from Princedale Road. Again, this is that same corner again. You can see what is it's a laundrette. I think in the background you can just see dry. So I think it was a laundrette at one time. And there at Godsend, if you look closely in the background there, you can see a street name there in the background. It's a godsend for filming locations, aren't there? And again here, this bit here that you see them standing by in a lot of the episode, you actually see in an episode of the Sweeney, the car, they're in their car, and it goes past there, exactly past that building. Princedale Road again. It actually looks better today, I would say, than it does back then. It looks a bit tatty back then. It's been tidied up a heck of a lot now. It's more of a upmarket looking sort of like street, if you see what I mean. And then so that's Princedale Road. Well, Mutiny was a film, don't forget, Neil. Mutiny was a film. Now, Edgware was only like a straight road down from the continuation of the scene. If you remember the scene, Jack's getting his gets the money together and he's got it in his hands. And he looks across the road. What you think is I'm looking across the road at the bookmakers, and he goes into it. But the bookmakers is actually like where he's got his money in his hand like that, when the passengers are all coming off the bus. That was filmed at the top of Manor Way. Now, funnily enough, today, from where that bus is stopped, there's a bus stop there that will take you right into Apex Corner, which is right by where the bookmakers was. It's now I do believe it's a hairdresser's or a beauty salon or something that's there now. It's a straight road down from Bournemouth that brings you right into Edgware at that point at the bookmakers, if you see what I mean. But that's why why it was only one random location that they filmed in Edgware at. Oh, cheers, Jill. I was about to go offline, but if you've got questions, I'm willing to hang around for put it off for maybe another half an hour. So it's a question just to fill you in, Jill. This is just about your filming locations on the buses, filming locations tonight. I wouldn't say that they really bothered about that too much, really, to be honest. I mean, one of those locations there, I think you could notice just in the background, and you can see it in the episode. If you watch the episode Private Hire, when they're taking the piano and Blakey gets carried away by it and gets run into the side of the bus. If you look down at the bottom of that hill, that's in Crouch End, you can actually see right down at the bottom, you can just make out Alexander Palace. So I don't think they really bothered about things like that. That wasn't really, they weren't really, obviously in those days, nobody had video recorders and things like that. So they thought it was so small, nobody will even see it anyway. So I suppose that's why they're not bothered by things like that, really. So any questions about the locations? I'll answer them as long as you've got them, and be quick with them. I've been online for 2 hours now. I'll hang around in case Jill's got anything she wants to ask about the locations, and yourself, Neil, if you want to post up anything from the book quickly. I'll postpone my, I was going to go at 7:30. I'll leave on, I'll stay on now till 7:45 if you've got any questions. I'm happy to extend it till then. So for the basics of Jill, if Jill's interested in the filming locations and all that, how it actually worked, you had 7 series of on the buses. Series 1 to Series 6, LWT were based at Wembley Studios in Wembley, so they tended to use all filming locations in the north of London. So we're talking about Wembley, Wood Green, where the bus depot was, Eastern National Bus Depot. The areas like Hendon, areas like Stonebridge, areas like Enfield, where the cemetery gates were, Harrow on the Hill. And then when the LW2 moved to the South Bank Studios in 1972, Series 7 was then made in at South Bank Studios. So the filming locations were more south-based because they didn't want to travel too far from the studios. So it was all South London-based. So they filmed in areas like Camberwell, Lambeth, Peckham, Battersea, even as far south as Malden and Sutton. And then the spin-off films were all made at Boreham Wood, at Elstree Studios. So they predominantly filmed on the streets of Boreham Wood or surrounded the small towns of Shenley to the northeast of Boreham Wood, or South Mims, which was also northeast, or St Albans, which was about a couple of 2.5 miles to the northwest of Boreham Wood. Or for the obviously you're muting on the buses, they went down to what was Windsor Safari Park, that's Legoland. And then obviously for your Series 7, for the third spin-off film, Holiday on the Buses, they headed off to North Wales to film at Prestatyn Pontins, Prestatyn Sands, and other areas in North Wales and nearby Prestatyn, such as Deserf, Rudlin, Rill. Yep, as I say, they filmed. I told you about this the other week when I met you there down in London, Neil. They not far from where they filmed, just around about maybe 200 yards to the northwest of where they actually filmed, was one of the locations of the Winchester Arms from Minder, which they filmed around that area. They also filmed Sweeney as well, around that area. As I say, I know that for a fact there's one episode when they're traveling in the back of the car. Yeah, that was the only time that they actually filmed down there, though. So that was the only episode they went down there for. So it wasn't an area that they filmed in predominantly, but that was like Series 5, the end of Series 5. I do wonder if Bob Grant had any input onto that location as well, which is just thinking about it now. I'll just check my. Hold on. I just want to check my book here, and if he might have written that episode, Bob and Stephen, if they wrote that episode, Vacancy for Inspector. Yeah, it was written by Bob Grant and Stephen Lewis. Now, why I say that is Notting Hill. I'm not superbly well versed with the London area, but Bob Grant was living in the Fulham area around that time, which isn't a massive distance from Notting Hill. I think you might be able to confirm that, Neil. So I just wonder whether he had sort of like maybe tipped him in that direction because he knew what sort of that area was like. Well, Reg was always in Enfield, so it wasn't far for them to go from Enfield. Anna was in Ilford. Doris was in Putney Bridge. Bob, as I said, he was in Bob was in Fulham, and Stephen was in like East London in the like Wanstead area, and Michael Robbins was in the like the Wimbledon area. That was basically they were there for those areas when they were filming, if you see what I mean. So but I do find it a bit coincidental, and I wonder if Bob had a part to play in suggesting those locations for vacancy for inspector, being that Bob was not far from that area. He lived in, as I said, I know he lived in Fulham at the time, which isn't a massive distance from Notting Hill, is it? And he wrote that episode, so I wonder whether he suggested that sort of he knew the area well enough to know that that area would sort of like tally with that with the scenes. Oh yeah, definitely. I'm just wondering whether the Notting Hill locations all came about because of, as I say, Bob being from Fulham. He maybe Andy wrote that episode and he knew sort of like what sort of areas he maybe pointed them in the direction of Notting Hill and said that there's ones that sort of like locations there that fit in really well because it is a bit out of the remit of the area that's that they normally film in. Whether that the LWT locations manager would have known Notting Hill too well at all to suggest filming in that area seems there's a good chance that maybe Bob played a part in that, suggesting that area for filming, if you see what I mean. Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what leads me to sort of like half suspect whether Bob actually suggested the Notting Hill area to do the filming for it. It's not a great deal of distance away from where he was living with his wife for that Kim at that time. They were living in I think it was like a Muse flat in Fulham. It's certainly not very far from Fulham to Notting Hill where they actually filmed. So it might have been an area that like Bob knew very well and suggested that they filmed it there as well in that episode. Because I do find it odd that it was the only time that they went into that location, and Bob just happened to be out of that episode. Yeah, yes, Kim's still with us. Yeah. It's only specifically for the filming locations tonight, the Q&A. Well, I'll just answer that there since you're here. We'll be winding up soon anyway. they wouldn't have been kept in any on display or anything. They would have been either regurgitated, as in went back to wardrobe, and they'd be used again for they just taken the insignia off and maybe used it for a traffic warden for a future production made by LWT. Some of them they did. They at the end when the omnibuses ended, they did ask. They did ask some of the cast if they wanted an item of uniform, any the items before the series ended. I know Anna picked her baby doll blue nightie. It's possible Stephen picked his uniform for the because he has seen in a uniform similar but not the cap in Generation Game. And we are pretty sure that Bob's shirt that he wore in the Inspector's Niece with the floral, the yellow and brown floral display that it's got. It's like a silk shirt that went up for sale a while back at Elstree Studios, I think it was, or something like that, or somewhere near Elstree anyway. So, and that I think they bought that from an auction. So some does, but most of the times a lot of the stuff gets goes back into the wardrobe department to be used again on other productions if need be. Yeah, there's ones in Hendon. The only ones that I've got left to do to photograph in Hendon are all ones where basically all that there is that was there isn't there anymore, if you know what I mean. Obviously, that's ones like when they've got the toilet and they put it in our baby's pram and they're walking along holding a pram, or is that the paint? It's one of that ways that they do it anyway. And the busman's perch, you see it, they've got the paint and the baby's pram, haven't they? And they're pushing it along. The pram there, the woman is, and they're one of them's carrying the baby. That's on Algernon Road in Hendon, but the houses that you see in the system when they all run next door to use the toilet, they're all been demolished now to make way for the extension of the motorway into central London. I think they got demolished in the late 1970s, I think, those houses there. But you can still pinpoint them, which I've been able to do by, if you have a look at this. This is an old, like, ordnance survey map. So if you have a look here, I'll just show you. These are the houses that have all gone. All these ones on this side have been demolished. And there you see I've written on there the Butler House and the Harper House. So they're right next to one another. And we can work out exactly where they were because of the exactly opposite houses that are still there today. So all of those houses are still there to this day. The ones on this side have all been demolished, they've gone. The motorway runs down here, the extension into central London. So that's all Hendon, if you see what I mean. Hendon station's down here. There's the train line, you can see it right there. So that's the ones in Hendon. The ones that you can, as I say, how it's hard to really point out. See, now all of those houses have gone. The lamp post's still there, but all of the houses have definitely all gone. Same with here. It's a toilet in the cistern. There you go. And again here, these are all ones that you won't see anything. Like I could take a photograph of that area and you wouldn't recognize it because all the houses have gone. That location could be done. That's still there. That's on Station Road in Hendon. So, and also where the toilet shop was, that's virtually across the road from the train station, but that's been demolished now as well, obviously. Yeah, as it was Sankey's, that was it there. Again, there you go. That's the family running into number 12 Algernon Road, which again, that house has been demolished as well. And that's it again. So, I mean, you could we go down there and take photographs of that area. I'll be able to work it out by using my chart here. By using that chart, I can work out exactly where things are going by, what the houses are across the road. But obviously, I'd take them and I would know that was where the location was. But with then and now shots, you would get people that would say that looks nothing like it, and how do you know it's there, and all of that. You know, your veracity, the confirmation that that's the location is called into question a bit, if you see what I mean. Just because people can't see something that was there then that isn't there now, if you see what I mean, they can't associate it with that being the location, if you get what I'm saying. I mean, I do get that with other locations. People will say, "Oh, that looks nothing. That's not it. That doesn't look nothing like it." But that's how it happens with locations. Sometimes they change a heck of a lot, so they won't look like it. They don't all stand still for time, if you see what I mean. That's a lot of them do end up changing. Okay, any more questions on the filming locations? Just get them in now. It's only about to do with the filming locations. Remember, I'll do another question time on your basic other on the buses stuff in the coming weeks, no doubt. I do plan on doing some sort of a walking tour as well. If anyone's interested, again, that'll probably be sometime in the autumn time, maybe. Sometime in the autumn, a small charge for their walking fee, a walk-in tour, maybe about, don't know the lengths of it, depends on the area that you do, maybe about a 2 hour long walking tour. Cheers, Neil. Yeah, it more than likely be another area, Neil. Where it would be, I don't know. I've done obviously. I've done Bournemouth. I've done Wembley. I've done Wood Green. Wood Green might be another good one to go for again because it was so popular the first time around. There is Enfield, but Enfield's locations are far more spread out, if you see what I mean. The other possibilities would be areas like Lambeth and South London. There's quite a few in the Lambeth area, but again, there is a bit of gaps between locations. It might need jumping on and off buses to do that without asking people to walk too far. And there's Peckham as well, of course. They're the sort of areas that you could more than likely manage and for a walking tour. You could maybe do Wembley. I've done Wembley before, but there are more than Wembley, if you see what I mean. Like you could stretch it to perhaps Stonebridge. There's a lot of locations in Stonebridge. Right, I've been online for like 2.5 hours now, so I think I'm going to. Yeah, that's the point. That's the point, Neil. And the thing is, you've got to have a lot of locations. More locations you've got in a smaller area, then the more that it works because it's not so far for people to walk to a lot of locations. The more locations that you can pack in, the better, really. So Bournemouth is ideal, obviously. Wood Green's another good one because there's a lot of locations in a small area as well. Wembley's not too bad as well, but done Wembley. But I suppose I could contemplate doing Wembley again, if you see what I mean. So it's ones to think about anyway. And Peckham would be quite a good one as well because there's quite a few in the Peckham area. Okay, I'm going to call it a night now. I've been online for 2.5 hours, near enough. So I hope you've all enjoyed this Filming Locations special, Filming Locations chat and question time. So if you've enjoyed yourself, I hope you have. Thanks for popping in. Thanks for asking questions. And I'll speak to you all soon, okay? So I'll say goodbye for now. Goodbye.